Hello, everyone. This is Dave from Dave's Wreaths and Things. Today's episode, I'm going to be creating 2 ribbon wreaths for Halloween, like this one right here, and like this circular wreath with an abstract heart. So, stick around, keep watching, and right after the intro, I'll get into how I made both these ribbon wreaths for Valentines. Our first wreath is our circular ribbon wreath. I am just using a typical 14-inch wire wreath frame that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I found these ribbons from Dollarama actually. They're 2.5-inch wide wired ribbons, and I loved how these look, and I totally knew I was going to make something out of a wreath out of these ribbons for sure. So how I'm starting it is I'm just adding a bead of glue, and then I'm going to fold it down on that inside wire. And then all I'm going to do, it's really simple, is I'm just going to wrap that ribbon all the way around the wreath, a little bit on an angle. So what I'm doing with my right hand is I'm just wrapping it around, pulling it a little bit tightly, and with my left, I'm just holding it in place. So that gives me the ability to move it around and wrap it around again and again. And for this, these are 9-foot length ribbons. And you'll see in just a few seconds, I do run out of my first roll. And once I'm at the end, I'm just gonna flip it over and glue that down on the back side so it's not visible at the front. Add a bead of glue, hold it down, wait for it to dry. And then I'm gonna grab my second roll, add a bead of glue where it stopped. And just a word of warning, if you have ribbon like myself where you have a good side and a bad side, be sure that that good side is facing out. I've learned from my mistakes in the past, trust me. So here you see, I just use a little bit of that new roll. I'm gonna give it a chop off, add some glue, and then I'm gonna fold it over, and then I'm just gonna glue it down on the back side. And that is gonna create the base of our circular ribbon wreath. I love how the glitter adds a little bit of sparkle to it. And my last video, I should say, I had these foam hearts left over from when I was doing cutouts, and I decided I'm going to use it for this wreath. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up those edges a little bit. So I'm taking strips of the red felt, going to add a little bit of glue down on one side. I'm going to flip it over, add a little bit more glue on the other side, and then fold it over, just kind of finishing off those edges a little nicer than the exposed foam core. So again, I'm going to do that on the other side, folding it over, and creating a nice clean edge. And once I come to those curves, I'm going to use another piece, but this time I'm going to cut little tabs in my felt. And what that's going to do is that's going to create little tabs so you can fold them around the curve, and it makes the curve a little bit smoother. Instead of using just a straight piece of felt that'll get all crinkled and everything, this will create a nice little smoother effect when you use the tabs around the corners. Once I get one side down, I flip it over, add glue to my tabs, and then I'm going to flip those tabs over, creating that nice smooth edge. And it'll be a nice finished edge too, so you don't have to see that foam core. Of course, this step is completely up to you if you want to do it or not. I just wanted to finish my edges a little bit. And once I'm done with my final tabs, I'm ready to decorate the rest of my heart. The idea I had for this was a little bit of like a modern abstract heart. So I didn't want to just cover it with a plain felt like one size. So I wanted to make some interest, create some depth to it. So what I decided to do, these are about maybe 1.5, maybe 1.25 inch strips. The cubes ended up being maybe a little bit over an inch each. But I didn't really measure anything. I was fine with eyeballing it. I thought, you know, that would add a little bit more of that abstract look that I wanted to it if it wasn't all perfectly square. So I just have my little squares here. I'm going to bring my heart back, and then I'm just kind of gluing them down randomly. At first, I kept them all within the outline of the heart, and then eventually you'll see here too, I do change it up a little bit, and I overlap the edges with my felt. You'll see that in just a second. Here I am overlapping, you can see on the right hand side, and I kind of love how that looks, but I do end up in the end cleaning that up, and I take my scissors and I go around creating a sharper edge and that heart shaped as well. And once I glue all these pieces down, I have my heart, and I'm going to take my scissors and just trim the edges. Here's my heart all ready to go. I'm going to glue that down, and I will say this, once I glued it down I thought I was done, in my mind, and then I started looking at it and I was like, this needs something more. I don't know what it needs, but I was looking at it, standing up, turning it around. I didn't know what it needed, but it needed something. So I had some of this other Valentine ribbon, and this is a thinner ribbon. This is about maybe a ½ inch maybe. And I just cut it into little strips. And what I do with the little strips is I just ended up gluing it right at the bottom there of that heart, as you can see here. And once I finished gluing it all down, I flipped it over and I'm like, no, that is not what I wanted to do. That doesn't look good. I'm not happy with that. So of course, all the ribbons come off. And I had another heart. This one is just foam core like the first one. And I started laying the ribbons down, kind of thinking, you know, maybe if I glue them like this, maybe this will work. Add a little bit more 3D. And then I laid one across the heart that I just made. And I'm like, yep, that's what I'm doing. I love it when the whole creative process starts flowing and something comes up like this. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Let's roll with this. And then that's what I did. I just started attaching the ribbon at random angles. Like I said, I had no plan to do this before, so there was no plan in my head. I just kind of played around with the ribbon, see how I wanted it to go. And then of course, at one point, I do say to myself, you could put one more ribbon down and that's it. I think it's here. Yeah. I'm allowed one more piece of ribbon down, and there you go. Our circular ribbon wreath with our abstract heart. I just love how this came together, and I hope you did too. Our heart-shaped ribbon wreath. Here we go. We all love and we have all used this heart-shaped wire ribbon, and I have a couple of different fabrics here. I have white hearts on a red background, and I have this red and white gingham ribbon as well. They're both 2.5 inches. They're both 9-foot rolls, and I'm going to cut a bunch of them at the 7-inch mark. Of course, you can go shorter if you want your ribbon shorter. You can go longer if you want. 7 inches for me is just, it's perfect. It works out really well. Once I get a bunch of the ribbon going, I just fold it in half, line it up, and I create dovetails for each of my ribbons, just to finish it off a little bit and add some interest to our wreath. And then I just feed it through the last wire, so the outside wire, fold it over, and since it's wire ribbon, you can fold it right at the corners there, and it lays nice and flat. And then I'm just going to take some glue on the inside, and then on the 2 dovetails, fold it over, and I'm just going to glue that in place, such that my ribbon doesn't fly around and go everywhere. It's still a little bit loose, but it's nice and secured in its spot. So here I have my little crossbar in the way, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that ribbon out and add a little slit right at the side, such that the ribbon can go around that crossbar and hide it just a little bit. So it does overlap the first ribbon. That's totally fine, that's totally cool. But I just wanted to hide that crossbar just a little bit. And again, I'm adding the glue right at the tips of those dovetails, some in the middle, lining them up and pressing it down. So we have a nice start to our ribbon wreath, and a little more glue just to secure everything down. as I go. I don't want everything to move all over the place. And I do want the ribbon to stay in place. And it's just inserting that ribbon with the wire right at the middle mark, adding those little dots of glue. And I'm not using a lot of glue. This is just little dots of glue just to kind of hold them in place so they don't fly around everywhere. And I'm going to place one right at the cross there at the bottom, just kind of squishing it into place. And like I said, the wires do help a lot. And then I just work my way all around that last outer wire with my folded ribbon. And once I get to a cross wire here, I line up my ribbon to where I want it to go, and then I estimate where I want to make that little slit. And I make a little slit right until the midsection or the midpoint of that ribbon. And what that'll do is that will allow the ribbon to kind of come around that cross wire and hide it a little bit. So here I'm going to fold my ribbon in half to make it a little bit easier once I insert it. Then insert the two pieces around that cross wire. And then I lay it flat and add some glue to glue all the pieces together. And that's how I go around those little crossbars. I do the same method for each one. As I come to it, I just cut a little slit, fold it through, and then place some glue down to keep it all in place. And my first layer is all done. Now I'm just going to come in with that second wire. So this is the middle wire, and I'm going to do the exact same procedure that I did with that first layer. I'm just going to use a different ribbon for this. I just fold it over, fold it around that middle wire, add a little bit of glue, and then I just continue on moving to my next piece of ribbon all the way around. And of course, every time I come to those little crossbars, I do that same procedure where I put a little slit in there and I just wrap it around that crossbar, kind of disguising it a little bit. And then we can work our way around the entire second layer of the wreath. And of course, you can see it coming together now with the overlapping ribbon. And these ribbons, again, are still 7 inches in length. So the entire wreath is made with 7-inch length ribbon. They're 2.5 inches wide, the wired ribbon, and I used almost 1 roll for each ribbon. So if you were going to do the same ribbon, I would probably do a couple of rolls. If you're going to do different ribbons, as many different ribbons as you want, or rolls. Whatever you choose. Like I said, this is a totally versatile wreath. You don't have to make it just for Valentine's. You could totally do one for summer with summer colors, for winter, for spring, anything like that, or Halloween. Maybe not the heart-shaped, but you can still use this in the round wire wreath frames as well. And we are almost done. We're coming towards the end. I'm almost finished. Adding that last piece on there, right at the bottom there. And here we go. We are all done with our heart-shaped ribbon wreath. I just love how this came together, and look how skinny this is. If I turn it to the side, if anybody has storm doors or anything like that, this is perfect for that. It's nice and narrow, and it's beautiful. Well, at least I hope you think it is beautiful. There's our ribbon wreaths for Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed my projects. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.